rise, will the prospective drawer please stand?
Hello everyone, we are here today covering the trial of Mr. Lightwood, who is charged with the murder of Mr. Gon, his neighbor. I, the Honorable Judge Timothy, will be presiding this trial. You may be seated. Please, prosecution lawyer, raise and outline your case.
I am the prosecutor lawyer and I defend Mr. Gon. Mr. Lightwood, you're charged of the murder of Mr. Lightwood, Mr. Gon, by choking him to death with his own death.
So now, please call your first witness and proceed with your question.
So, Mrs. Davis.
Mrs. Davis, please raise your right hand and do you swear to tell the truth, only the truth and the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, it's for you. Okay, so good morning everyone. My name is Edgar Davis, Mrs. Davis, and I'm the caretaker who lived Mr. Gon and Mr. Lightwood. So I'm commencing Mr. Lightwood killed Mr. Gon. The story started when Mr. Gon didn't pay his rent. I found his behavior strange from Mr. Gon because he always paid his rent before the official date. Moreover, since the arrival of Mr. Lightwood, the whole man changed his habits. For instance, he didn't go to the balcony or he didn't take his letter and switch off the lights really late. Suddenly, I overheard a conversation between Mr. Lightwood and another person who said, "I want to bring back all his money." A day later, I saw the light of the Mr. Gon's apartment at 3 a.m., so I decided to call the police when I heard a neat and strict and strange noises. The policemen arrived and they went away with Mr. Lightwood.
Please, defense lawyer, raise and make your cross-examination.
Thanks, Your Honor. Hello, Mrs. Davis. I have two questions for you. First, have you ever heard those kind of noises that you were talking about before?
I know, and I heard some noises, but not only intense noises like I heard before or here, so not really new.
Okay, so those kind of noises can be a proof of his sickness. The second question is, don't you think it's weird listening to the conversations?
No, because I heard a lot of gossips in my job. You know, I take care of a lot of person and take care of a lot of person in the building, so no, that's totally my job.
Okay, that's it.
Please, Mrs. Davis, go back to your seat. Then the prosecution lawyer can call his second witness.
Okay, so I called my second witness. The police will arrest Mr. Lightwood.
Mr. the policeman, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
Now you're on the oath. Defense lawyer, please make his examination.
The night of the murder, I was on call. I have the list of calls, including some of Mrs. Davis. I must admit that it was at night, so I didn't answer her first calls, but I answered.
I arrived at Mr. Gon's place, and it was there were only Mr. Lightwood there, and I first thought that it was kind of weird because he was alone in Mr. Gon's place, and it was really early. It was 4 o'clock. So he was absolutely kind, and then he suddenly screamed and admitted the deed. So we found the body and we arrested him.
Defense lawyer, please ask your question to
So you find Mr. Lightwood weird, isn't that?
Yes.
And he screamed.
Yes.
So for you, you're sure about the crime of Mr. Lightwood?
Yes.
Nothing to add.
No, the defense lawyer can do examination of the policeman.
Hello. Well, I'm gonna start by saying that you said that it was weird because he was alone. But don't you know he was actually taking care of Mr. Lightwood? So it was normal that he was alone in the home. Secondly, you also said that he was quiet and then he started yelling at you to say that he was guilty. So it's a proof of his sickness, I think. Okay, thank you.
Policeman, you can now take your seat back. Will the accused raise and come to the box to be questioned? Please, accused, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So help you God.
Yes, that's right.
You're under horse now. Prosecution lawyer.
Hello, Mr. Lightwood.
Hello.
So my first question is, do you plead guilty or not?
Yes, I plead guilty.
Okay. So what was your motive?
He harassed me. I had the idea to do the course at his house, and he called me every hour of the day, even the night.
How did he arrest you and why you should not have called the police?
Because I was just panicked, and everyone knows that I had psychiatrist troubles, so they wouldn't believe me that he harassed me.
And did you choke him with his belt?
Of course not. I just pushed him, and he died.
Nothing to add.
Defense lawyer, please raise and ask your question to the accused.
Hello, Mr. Lightwood. I just want to know, do you consider what you did as self-defense? Yeah. Okay.
Please, prosecution lawyer, stand up and do your re-examination.
We found Mr. Gunn this number. How can you explain that?
Like I said it to you, I was overwhelmed by the panic. So, you know, when you are overwhelmed by the panic, you can't think that's what you are doing. It was the only solution.
Thank you.
Please, defense lawyer, raise and outline the defense case.
I would like to call my first witness, Dr. Mauriac.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You're under horse now, you can talk.
Hi, so I'm Dr. Blake. I'm the psychiatrist of Mr. Lightwood since he was 10, and like you know, he's schizophrenic. Here I have his medical file, so you can see it. Okay. So yeah, he's schizophrenic, but the day of the crime, this may be my fault, but he did not have his pill. So yeah, he takes pill to calm his schizophrenia, but this day I haven't got it. So I told him to come back the next day to get it. But maybe that's my fault. I trust him, like I always do, but this time maybe did a mistake.
Please, prosecution lawyer, raise and ask your question to the doctor.
Hello, doctor. So you say that was, in fact, a part of your fault?
Maybe.
So maybe you take the half responsibility of this crime?
Maybe not, because indeed I didn't give him the pill, but that was not the first time. He already had been without a pill for like a week and never did a thing like that. So maybe he just defend himself.
Yes, but it's not really normal if it is schizophrenic and you don't take his...
I know him well. Like I said, I'm taking care of him like since he's 10. So I know him and I knew he can be without it. And prove that not the first time he was without, and I think this time it was just self-defense.
I think not, but I'm nothing to add.
To make your re-examination.
Hello, doctor. First, I just want to say that every human made mistakes, so you don't have to judge someone. I just have one question. Do you confirm that he is schizophrenic since his childhood?
I do.
Okay, that's all. Thanks.
I would like to say that I've already been a witness of this kind of case with a schizophrenic defendant, and at the end of the trial he was acquitted. So maybe if he's not, you should decrease the sentence because he's sick, and maybe it was not him but his sickness who killed Mr. Gunn.
Okay, thanks. Please, doctor, take your seat back. Defense lawyer, raise and ask your second witness to come to the witness.
I would like to call Mrs. Wendell, please.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I swear.
Remember, both know you can talk.
So, hello everyone. My name is Ellie Wendell, and I'm a childhood friend of Mr. Lightwood. I have to say that he has never been violent with me. He has always been there for me. He always protected me as he was a man and I was a girl. When he feels bad or in danger, his mental illness makes him act against his will. I remember back in our childhood, he looked and was pure and innocent, but then he became more and more insane as he went more and more sick. Please, put yourself in his shoes and please, if you can, decrease his sentence.
Please, defense lawyer, raise and make the examination of the witness.
Hello, Mrs. Wendell. Did Mr. Lightwood ever talk about Mr. Gunn?
Yes, he did. I was actually one of the only persons who knew that he was arrested, that he was an employee who was a literal slave because he could call him at midnight to come and clean his place. And then he would call me in tears saying that he don't want to do it anymore, but still he has to earn some money, so...
And did he talk about Dr. Blake and his relation with him?
Yes, he did. And I actually know Dr. Blake personally since we really trust him. Both of us really trust him. Yeah?
Thanks. Prosecution lawyer, raise and make the cross-examination.
Hello. If Mr. Lightwood is sick, don't you think that he should be sent in a psychiatric hospital?
I think that since he already has his own psychiatrist, actually no.
But don't you think it's better if it's in hospital because everybody will be safe, himself and everyone around him?
I don't think he's dangerous. I feel safe when I'm around him. He didn't cause me any bad thing.
In fact, if he don't take his pills, that will be a problem, I think. No?
I'm sorry, objection. I don't think that you can say if he had to go to a psychiatric hospital. I think the doctor can say this, but not you.
I direct the jury to disregard the statement that just made the prosecution lawyer. Please come back to the side. Please, prosecution lawyer, raise to convince the jury.
So, the jury. I think if everybody become this member in this town, that will be a problem, and in fact, Mr. Lightwood take a life, and he need to be punished to understand. That's all.
Defense lawyer.
Imagine you never being aware of what you do, never being surrounded by people that love you, never knowing who you are. How do you think you were gonna be? You don't know? Here's the answer. This guy is sick, and everybody here know he is. He did commit a murder, but we can't forget that it was completely regardless of his conscience. Was it passional crime? Was it self-defense? It's all about you now. Thank you.
So the jury will have to choose between the following option: 5 years with suspended sentence, 5 years of prison, 10 years of mental hospital with suspended sentence, or 5 years of mental hospital with suspended sentence, or if you want, we can release him.
So I think that the prison isn't really a good idea because it will be worse, he won't be treated and it will not help him. So I prefer 10 years of mental hospital because he killed someone, so that's really serious. And that's all.
I agree with you because I think prison is not necessary like you. But I think 5 years is challenging because he killed someone, but because he was harassed by him. So he was sick, we all know it. So he killed him because of sickness.
I agree with Lorraine because he is sick and he is not ill.
So what do you think? Do you have arguments to add?
I think that I agree with you because he killed someone but he dismembered him too. So I think he deserved 10 years in hospital.
Some of you didn't talk, so what is your point of view?
I agree with Rose. I think he has to go in a psychiatric hospital for 10 years, and he has to go to jail because what he do is unacceptable, and kill someone is yes, unacceptable.
I think 10 years old is better for him because he needs help and we do help him.
So you have 4 choices. The first one is that he's acquitted. The second one is that he spends 5 years in jail with a suspended sentence, or 10 years in a psychiatric hospital with suspended sentence, or 5 years in a psychiatric hospital with suspended sentence. So you choose. So let's vote. The people who want Mr. Lightwood to go to jail for 5 years, raise your hands. The people who want Mr. Lightwood to go to a psychiatric hospital for 10 years, raise your hands. Well, I think the sentence is found. Mr. Lightwood will go to psychiatric hospital for 10 years with suspended sentence.
So I'm here to make the sum up. for the trial. So Mr. Lightfoot killed his neighbor, Mr. Gunn. So for the prosecution for Mr. Gunn, we have Mrs. Davis and Dr. Leslie. So for him, he just killed his neighbor, so he's guilty. So dismember him, so for him he's to be guilty. And for the defendant lawyer, we have a doctor and his childhood friend, and for them, he's sick, so he's not guilty. His sickness.
Thank you. As the jury box reach a verdict?
We reached the verdict for the murder of Mr. Gunn, 10 years of mental hospital with suspended sentence.
So, Mr. Gunn, you convicted to 10 years of mental hospital with suspended sentence. Mr. Lightwood, please raise. You convicted for the murder of Mr. Gunn, your neighbor, and condemned to 10 years of psychiatric hospital with suspended sentence.